This election, your vote will determine the future of Pacific salmon. This is no exaggeration. I've seen firsthand how federal government policy affects our sacred species. Back in 2006, I was working with environmental nonprofits doing salmon habitat restoration. This was during the change in government to the Conservative Party. This was one of the most stressful periods of my life. Pacific salmon were on the decline and work to save them felt urgent. It was a salmon emergency then, 15 years ago. We were working on improving stream flows, on improving shade to reduce stream temperatures, and on assisting local hatcheries with egg takes. I spent hours hunched over trays of fertilized eggs with long tweezers in my hand, picking out dead ones one by one. I did the same for the Alevin, cheering my little buddies on at every life stage. This was long, hard, and sometimes monotonous work, but hope was our fuel to keep going. And then everything changed. The Conservative government began implementing significant cuts to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. I was crushed. The countless people of all political stripes that I worked with were devastated. It is one thing to hear government announcements about budget and job cuts in the media. It's entirely different to see and feel those effects for real. The cuts were significant. Think of all the work done to build up on-the-ground capacity by DFO staff, environmental nonprofits, and countless hatchery and habitat restoration volunteers. Programs that had been built up for years, like the Habitat Management Program, were just going to end. Just like that. DFO staff we had been working with for years, gone or no longer available. Friends that had been working in the field for decades pulled off their boats, out of their trucks, and told they had desk jobs now. The 132 habitat staff that were laid off were salmon heroes, suddenly gone, and so was the support they provided to the hundreds of hatchery volunteers. The Conservative government defunded the frontline heroes who protected our precious salmon stocks. We no longer had anyone to call in for infractions or prevent illegal fish poaching on the water. If you tried calling, all you got was a pre-recorded message. The $100 million in cuts to DFO happened at the very time scientists were telling us more funding was needed if they were allowed to speak at all. The Fisheries Act was gutted, removing powerful protections for water. The Navigable Waters Protection Act stripped protections from 99% of lakes and rivers in Canada. Reductions in climate adaptation research were specifically targeted. Federal libraries containing vital fisheries research information that could be helping to inform our efforts, now gone into dumpsters. I'm reminding you of all this because I don't want anyone that loves salmon as much as I do to be fooled by the Conservative leader or anyone running for the Conservative Party that they are the party for the fish. They may say that they care for salmon as much as the sport and commercial fishers. They don't. Their record tells us all we need to know. I understand that there is a lot of heartburn and downright anger about fish restrictions imposed by the current government. But make no mistake, the declines in Pacific salmon that make these restrictions necessary today are the legacy of Conservative cuts. Generations of fish have been lost. Scientific knowledge and data has been thrown in the garbage. Research has been stopped. Think for a minute, where would we be today if that hadn't happened? I don't believe that Pacific salmon have enough generations left to wait out another Conservative government. Over the past 6 years, the Liberal government has done a lot to fix what the Conservatives broke. The Pacific Salmon Strategy Initiative was announced in June. This initiative shows just how serious the Liberal government is when it comes to bringing our salmon home. It includes the largest ever government investment in efforts to protect and save our Pacific salmon. And the good news is, it's not a done deal. This is just the beginning. They want engagement on the initiative, engagement from you. How do we make the most of this? North Island Powell River has to be heard. We need to be at the table in Ottawa. We need to engage in the development of each part of this initiative. As soon as this election is over, we need to be ready to take the local knowledge from our waters all the way to Ottawa and be heard. We can't gamble away this opportunity by sending a representative to Ottawa who is outside of the room. This is too important. I will fight for our salmon in Ottawa if you give me the chance. I'm Jennifer Grenz, and this election, I'm asking you to vote for me. Let's give the salmon the chance they deserve. We don't know how many generations they have left. I hate wondering if my son will get to teach his own kids to fish.